Hi, I'm Charles Edel, and welcome to another episode of Pacific Policy Pulse. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by CSIS non-resident fellow extraordinaire Rory Medcalf. The other hat, of course, that he wears is head of Australian National University's National Security College.
It's great to be back. Thank you, Charlie. It's good to be back in Washington. Very good to be back at CSIS. Look, I'm here for a pretty special visit here in November 2025. We are visiting Washington and New York, actually, with a delegation of Australian officials, quite a large number, about 30 of us in total, really as part of the signature program for my college, where we do executive and leadership education for the Australian government, the Australian National Security Agency, right across the spectrum of government agencies. Something like 18 or 19 agencies sort of sponsor our work. This is the first time we've done one of our senior leadership programs in the continental United States. We've been to Hawaii before with one of these programs, but it's really about familiarising the emerging leadership of the Australian government, the Australian security community, with the United States, with the US worldview, with the shape of the alliance. Very educational week that we're having.
Yeah, well, it's been great having you here. Let me ask you, before you brought the group over here, this is an enormously large question, but give us a flavor about the conversation about the United States in Canberra right now. What questions are really at top of mind?
So we're road testing a few of these ideas, I guess, as part of our educational program. It's very clear that across the Australian security community at the moment, we're thinking about the future of the alliance. We're thinking about China strategy. What's our China strategy? What's the United States China strategy? Does the Trump administration have a China strategy? We're thinking a lot also about all of the dimensions of national resilience in Australia. I think one thing that I've certainly observed with the Australian government over the last 3 years, re-elected this year, of course, 3.5 years, is their very, nuanced take on our security and foreign policy settings, and their recognition that this is not about purely military solutions to our security problems. They're looking very much at the security of our economy, the cohesion of our society. So I think there's a lot of quiet thinking going on at the moment about how do we bring all these pieces together, not necessarily in the kind of big national security strategy that you and I have spoken about before and that I would still advocate, but at least in, coordination within government, engagement with our broader community, our states and territories, and doing the best we can with the resources Australia has in this very challenging time in the international system.
Rory, you are an incredible reader. You always give me a new book to read. What did you read on the flight over?
What I'm reading at the moment, and they're short books, so and you may have read them already. They're not unpopular. I've managed to get stuck into both of the books by Giuliano da Empoli, the Italian commentator and author and so on, who wrote that great novel, The Wizard of the Kremlin.
Yep.
Movie coming out, I'm told. But it is a great study in power, and I don't think in Australia we think enough about raw power enough. Unfortunately, we have to, and I think sometimes fiction's the best way in, sadly. So recommend that book, and his other book also, The Hour of the Predator, which I actually read prior to the novel, and which actually has some very terrifying thoughts about how we're not ready for the combined shock of really tech oligarchy, if I can use that term, and also, of course, autocracy, and how these are coming together to challenge liberal democracies. Sobering reading, wake-up call for us all, but I think really essential.
Well, thanks for the reading suggestions. As per normal, you and I are saying, because I'm reading the second one right now. I read the first one a couple of years ago.
You're ahead of me.
But thanks so much for joining us, and thanks everyone for tuning in for another episode of Pacific Policy Pulse.